Hello, it's Friday. It's time for a beer. If there's ever been a better time for a beer, I can't think of it. I've been sitting here, well, not here, but downstairs, melting all day. It's ridiculous hot. This is not the kind of weather for me. Luckily, I have some refreshing coolant. Cheers, everyone. Oh, wouldn't care my missus. She's been out on the market all day today, sat in the baking heat, and one of the other market traders sent the husband home to go and get a couple of cold beers. So my missus has been on the beer before me today. That's outrageous. Anyway, let's have a look and see who's in and who's teacher's pet first in. Um, Dear me, Amadeus this week, who's saying a shout out to the lady members, more needed, John. Yes, well, I mean, how could they resist this? um, All welcome here, mate. All welcome. Then we got David James and Theme Tunes. Rent to Kill. Silent Hybrid is in. So is Terry Day, Francis Chambers, and Dave Fiendish. We got Dr. Gomez 1, Vincent Brennan, PFY Guitars, Peter Nicholson, Tom Clark, who is sorting out his man cave. He's overwhelmed with gas. Yes, I know the feeling, mate. There's a new guitar afoot at Robson Towers. I'll keep you posted. Anyway, there's Paul Trainer BSC. Johnny Random is in. So is Anton, Peter Collins. Who's what you just ordered there, mate? Just ordered an Artist AT53 Telestyle. Stainless steel frets, locking tuners, roasted maple net, rosewood board, Alico 5 pickups, all for $259. Due to arrive late July. I have been looking at those myself, mate. You know, I saw the John Cordy review of the Relic version, and yeah, that didn't really. It's a Relic, so that's a deal killer for me right there. But yeah, if I didn't have this other new guitar turning up imminently, then I think I would be possibly tempted. We've got Ian Clark. Ian, thank you for the T-shirt. Thank you so much, mate. Doom Crew. Where are we? There we go. Doom Crew. It's a Doomsday Outlaw shirt. Doomsday Outlaw, a fantastic rock band that Ian turned me onto. And for the Tier 2 Patreon supporters, there will be a reaction video coming up in due course, to some Doomsday Outlaw. Anyway, we've got Stephen Polk, we've got Frank Bolam, Grandpa Joe, and Grandpa Joe, as always, giving my Patreon a plug. You are my marketing manager there, Joe, and just like you're wishing us here a happy and safe weekend for you as well. Who else we got? We've got John Ross, Chris Ottewell, Cushman NYC, Jimmy James, Steve Entwistle, Doc Alders. Have I said you already? Oh, I can't remember. The heat has got to me. Johnny D is in, so is Jay Ao Young, Robert Forsyth, Austin Barrett. Ingrid is there. Ingrid, welcome. My first time here. I'm with my other half, Dave Fiendish. Nice to have you along, Ingrid. And, I hope you get something from it, other than just watching a fat northern bloke talk cobblers for an hour, which is usually what happens, if I'm honest. But, people seem to like it. Then who else have we got? We've got the Essex Cat is in, so is Rexomatic, just warming up here in Phoenix. Only supposed to get to 106 Fahrenheit today. I would just spontaneously combust at that. I'm looking at my little thermometer on the desk now, and it's 27. 27.9. Call it 28 degrees. So let's just have a little bit of a look at that. What that is in old money. So Celsius to Fahrenheit, 28 degrees in here. That's 82.4 degrees Fahrenheit, and that is just, that's. I feel like me insides are cooking. I do not like the hot weather. That's to be said. Where are we? Oh, there's Paul Trainer as usual, giving his customary couple of quid into the tip jar. Thank you so much, mate. That's very generous of you. Every week, without fail, you do that, and it really is appreciated. Thank you so much. There's Peter S. And who else have we got? Diddly dee. Gary Shaw, session guitar legend, is in, as is Cal B and the Rocco Cat, Malcolm Spillett, and John Channing. Scrolling down, I see we've got Peter Williamson, MW Card is in, and let's have a wee look a bit further down. We've got Michael Purcell, Cal Texper, Robin Fawcett, Triple Distilled, Colin Falcon is in as well. We've got R. Whites. Yes, that used to be a brand of lemonade. We've got Maiden Man 74 Moon Guitars all the way from Costa del Glasgow. Brad Dowell is in, so is William Forrest, Jeff Benner, Bob 28, and Eva Dunstan. Looking forward to another Friday beer o'clock. Well, I got to tell you, I look forward to it as well. Thomas Mulvaney is there, and Ian Clark. Yes, you're wearing the same shirt. Thank you so much, mate. It's very generous of you. Let's have a look. 60s Man is in. Anyone else? Pablo Hank and Stephen Hedger. They're searching for Tone and Eric Luttinger. He's in as well, as is Triple X Paps, Peter Hall, Dave Snack Stevens. On a train again, watching on a train. Well, it's better than watching the I was going to say, I don't know what I was going to say there, but it's better than watching anything else on a train, I suppose. Let's have a wee scroll down. Sam's Budget Guitars is in, and Gary Shaw's off to Florida next week to record 81 Fahrenheit at 6 in this morning on Orlando. Oh, yeah, but the thing is, it's not so bad when you're in a place where there's a country where there's air conditioning. It just doesn't exist in here. In the UK, you find yourself going into the supermarket and sticking your head in the freezers to cool off. Who else? We've got Tom Clark. Fat lads love winter. Indeed we do, mate. Graham Campbell and I'm Not Creative is in. So is Artist Bubba, and I believe that's pretty much everybody. Apologies if I've forgotten you or missed you or overlooked you. It's not intentional. It's just the ramblings of a fat northern lad who's too hot. And did I mention I don't like hot weather? Anyway, let's tell you what's coming up on the channel this week in the time-honoured fashion. We have a rather interesting single cut review on Sunday. It's, how whenever Fender, by and large, Fender and Gibson, by and large, whenever Fender releases a model that's a bit too Gibson-y, and whenever Gibson release a model that's a bit too Fendery, they never seem to do well. So, what Fender have done is they've bought up a couple of brands that that are known for making guitars that aren't particularly Fendery, and that's what we're going to be looking at on Sunday. A Diamond, no less, a Diamond Bluesbird single cut. It's got a lot going for it, and you'll find out exactly what I think of it on Sunday. Then Monday, on the Monday videos, I do 1 week melodic rock, and then the other week is the following week is blues. Well, we're back to the blues again this week, and it's sort of a continuation of the last blues video I did, where it was like how to spot a blues player even when they're not playing the blues. Well, this is kind of sort of an extension of that. We're looking at playing blues in a minor key. That's what's going on Monday. Then on Tuesday, a top 5 list, as you would expect. And we're looking at 5 really famous, I think really famous because I'm well aware of them, rock and pop tunes, which are shall we say, borrowing from classical compositions. Songs which are, classically influenced and have been big hits. Then on Wednesday, yes, one of the things I'm really proud of about this coming Wednesday's video is the title I came up for it, because it could be described as a little bit clickbaity, but it isn't, because it's genuinely concerning what's going on in the video. I'm talking about why it's a good thing to break strings every now and again. And if you want to know why it's a good thing to break strings every now and again, then watch Wednesday's video. Then on Thursday, I'm making sort of like one of these, opinion pieces again, and it's all about what we can learn from beginners, what beginners can teach even the most seasoned, professional, advanced, virtuoso guitar player. There's a particular lesson that beginners can teach us all. Not that I'm a seasoned, professional, virtuoso, virtual arsehole maybe, but there is a very valuable lesson we can learn from beginners, and you'll find out what that is on Thursday. Right, I need to just re-lubricate. And I think that's the first time in a long while that I've got through the first beer this early in the stream. So talk amongst yourselves, you do anyway. That's why you turn up, frankly, isn't it? Which is what I love about this. And I'm just going to pour myself a perfect flagon of cold, soothing Carlsberg Export Lager. Absolutely, yes. And better sample it, haven't I? Oh, that's starting to have the desired cooling effect. Triple Distilled sings a very Scandi tankard. It was a Christmas present from the wife, and it does tend to keep the beer colder for longer than a glass tankard because it has a stainless steel liner. And I really love the rope handle as well. Yes, that's, as I say, that was Christmas present from the wife, and very, very considerate of her. Malcolm Spillett, you make a good point there. I knew a music teacher who used to learn a new instrument every year so that she never forgot being a beginner. Yeah. I've been thinking about actually kind of learning a new instrument and making a series of videos on it. I'm thinking maybe a keyboard, but it's just the logistics of how I would film that, because I tend to need to have an overhead camera and stuff. So I don't know. We'll watch this space. Flake, yes, indeed. And there's one or two of you have pretty much got what the lesson is we can learn from the beginners. But if you want to do, well, I'm not going to spoil it. You can watch Thursday's video and find out for yourself. Triple Distilled is saying break strings releases the tension. No, it's not that, mate. No, you can. It's all to do with learning the fretboard, and I'll leave it at that. What are you saying there, Dave Snack? I think I just bought a guitar on local Facebook. Harley Benton ST Acoustic. Their copy of the Fender Acoustasonic, £50 worth a punt. Anyone else got or tried one? Well, I have tried the Fender Acoustasonic, and I got to tell you, I thought it was garbage. It felt cheaply made, and it didn't really kind of sound very good plugged in. Maybe I was missing something. Maybe I wasn't plugging it into an amp or anything like a guitar amp or anything silly like that. It was just going straight into the interface. And no matter what I do, it just sounded like, okay, here's a cheap sounding piezo sound, and here's a cheap sounding piezo sound with a little bit more bass. Here's the same sound again with a little bit more treble. It just didn't really produce a convincing sound any more so than that Harley Benton kind of workhorse acoustic, the darker coloured one. That's the one I use pretty much all the time now for acoustic parts. I just plug that in and run it through an acoustic impulse response. It sounds great. Um, da, 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 da. Peter Hall saying that, John, we were talking about Fender and Gibson playing in each other's backyards. The Fender Custom Telly has 4 knobs and humbuckers, and it's one of Fender's best guitars. Yeah, I'll give you that one, mate. I'll give you that one. I think I was thinking more along the lines of the other way around there when I was, as that stream of verbiage was tumbling out of my mouth. Whenever Gibson have tried to do like a Strat style guitar, like the Gibson Victory, which I thought was a fantastic looking guitar in the 80s, and now the reissue, it just doesn't look right. They've changed it ever so subtly, and it just doesn't work for me anymore. But typically, whenever Gibson have done a Fender-y style guitar, it tends to have been a bit of a commercial flop, I gather. Oh, the lamb is within us. Within us? Amongst us, that's what I meant to say. You can tell the heat's getting to me, can't you? Yes, I'm with you on that one, Malcolm. A gentleman is a man who can play the bagpipes but doesn't. I've got one of my students, he's a multi-instrumentalist, and he plays violin and piano and guitar and bagpipes. And, as I said to him one day, what's the difference between bagpipes and an onion? I said, nobody cries when you chop up the bagpipes. And it didn't go down too well. Let's have a wee look. Robert Forsyth, what you're saying there, if you break a top E, for instance, in the middle of a solo, then you have to compensate by playing the notes on the B string. That's pretty much what I'm talking about in the why it's good to break strings video, because if you've got to play for several days, before you can get to the shops and buy some new strings, you have to kind of just figure out where those notes repeat. Oh, have I got a super chat there? Let's have a wee look. Thank you. Thank you, the lamb. First time I've ever paid to be within someone. Yes, indeed, mate. Well, thank you, mate. It's yes. No, I can't tell you that story. No, that's not a story I can tell. But maybe I'll relate on the Patreon Zoom chat at some point. But yes, I'm going to keep that one under wraps. But it's a good one, trust me. Lamb's saying, first time John lost for words. It does happen, mate. It does happen. Let's have a look. Terry Day saying, having a keyboard means you can add different instruments to your recordings. Most of my jam tracks tend to have a keyboard sound on them. But that's all done in the piano roll view in Reaper. Just import a VST and program it manually. Or sometimes what I'll do is if it's like a keyboard solo, which doesn't really have, I don't really put those on my jam tracks. But when I do on occasions have to do a keyboard solo, then I'll play it as a guitar solo, tab it out in Guitar Pro, export the MIDI from Guitar Pro, and then import the MIDI into Reaper and assign a Hammond organ or something to it. So that's another workaround, but it's time consuming, but it's doable. Let's have a wee look, see what else is going on. Ravensmead just bought a Harley Benton Rickenbacker. Sounds great. Austin Barrett saying, John, try a sax. Yeah. Did you know saxophone was the instrument I really wanted to play before the guitar? When I was, 8 or 9 years old, it just seemed that every big hit in the 70s had a sax solo on it. You think of even when punk bands, were they a punk band or a new wave band, like the Boomtown Rats ended up putting a sax break on. what was it, Rat Trap, and famously, what's his name, Bob Geldof, was kind of performing to that with a candlestick, and a sax mouthpiece. I genuinely thought that he was really playing that, but I was only very young. Um, oh, lots of suggestions of musical instruments to play. The hammer dulcimer. Um, um, Johnny Random saying, I can't do blowy instruments, I don't have the breath. Um, Gary Shaw saying, it was easier to learn piano than a guitar synth. Yeah, it's the thing is, I think once you've figured out like musical relationships on the guitar, and you can visualize how far away things are from each other in semitones, because you can measure the distance in frets, it's then just a case of translating that to a piano and like a keyboard. And it would be a fun thing to do. You've already got the knowledge of what you're supposed to be doing. It's just then sort of building up the kind of technique, I guess, that is the grind, the work that you've got to be doing. Bob28 saying, got to be a banjo. In the very early days of this channel, there was a banjo. Well, a sort of, is it a banjitar or a guitar? Basically, a 6-string banjo tuned like a guitar. And it wasn't. It was a good idea at the time, but it just wasn't something that. It ended up getting sold, and the donation going to Zoe's place. Oh dear me, I've only got one more beer up here with me. I might have to make a swift exit to go and get some more beer. Cal B saying it'd be fun to see John get behind a full drum kit. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's well, the old gag, don't you? What's the difference between a real drummer and MIDI drums? With MIDI drums, you've only got to punch the information in once, and I'm pretty happy with the drum sounds I get on my recordings. So it's where would I set up a drum kit in here anyway? Tom Clark saying paper comb, yes, or the kazoo. Was there ever a less musical instrument than the kazoo? It's in this part of the world there used to be these marching bands made up of young girls, kind of 11, 12-year-old girls that would, always be like the kind of one at the front with the kind of like a mace with basically a big stick with a kind of some kind of ornate decoration on top of it, and that would be kind of getting thrown around and twirled and what have you, while a troop of girls behind them would play something like When the Saints Go Marching In on the massed pipes of kazoos. Used to hear that all the time in the summer in this part of the world. Thankfully no longer. Peter Nicholson, how do you know when a drummer's at the door? The knock speeds up. I've got a couple more of those for you. Go for a real challenge, get a triangle. Yes. How do you know when the drummer's at the door? The knocking gets faster. How do you know when there's a guitarist at the door? The knocking gets louder. How do you know when there's a singer at the door? He's got the wrong key and doesn't know when to come in. There's a few of those, isn't there? Michael Purcell, you raise a good point there. We concentrate on shapes on the guitar. Piano doesn't work like that. Yes. That is, it's one of the things that I really encourage my students to do, is to get out of that pattern-based, kind of box shape kind of way of thinking, because it's a handy way of getting off the starting blocks, but it's a real memory killer. You just end up with like a head full of stuff that you've memorized, shapes and patterns that that don't make any kind of logical sense unless you understand what notes are in them and what you're playing. And, so it just becomes much easier to play stuff if you understand the notes. So, yes, but I take your point, mate. Did you hear about the drummer who locked his keys in the car? Took him 2 hours to get the bassist out. That's a good one, mate. Yes, I'm having that one. Thank you very much. What do you call a guy who hangs around with musicians? A drummer. Yes. Here's one for you. This one goes on a bit, but I'll tell you it anyway. Right, drummer dies and goes to heaven, and he's at the pearly gates, and Saint Peter's saying, "Well, yes, okay, it looks like you've lived a virtuous life. You're more than welcome to come in for an eternity of heavenly bliss." And the drummer says, "Now, just hold on a minute." He says, "There aren't any lead guitarists up here, are there?" And St. Peter says, "No, we don't let that rabble up here. No, they're all down there, surfing on the lake of fire." And he says, "Right, that's it. Okay, I'm coming in." And the drummer's having a fine old time in heaven. And every now and again, he just hears wafting over on a heavenly breeze, the opening to Stairway to Heaven. And then, well, can't be. No, can't be. And then a couple of days later, the intro to Sweet Child of Mine. And what's that? That's not supposed to be any lead guitarists up here. And then it goes on. And then a little bit later, he starts hearing, the guitar solo from, I don't know, Don't Stop Believing, And anyway, he finds St. Peter. He says, "Look, I've got a bone to pick with you, mate." He says, "You told me there were no lead guitarists up here, but so far I've heard Don't Stop Believing, I've heard Sweet Child of Mine, and I've heard Stairway to Heaven. There's a lead guitarist up here somewhere, I know there is." And St. Peter says, "Oh, no," he says, "no, that's not a lead guitarist. That's God. He just thinks he's a lead guitarist." There you go. You can have that one on me. Let's see what's been going on in the chat while I was relating that story, which was actually told to me by a drummer, by the way. Vincent Brennan is saying, "Does the way you move when playing guitar influence your style?" I don't know, mate. I have no idea. I've never thought of it in that way. Johnny D says, how do you get a lead guitarist to shut the F up? Give him the dot, indeed. There we go. Yes, badadum. What else we got? Triple X Paps is saying, "I was getting on great learning the bagpipes. That was until my pet octopus attacked and broke them. I think he was trying to remove the pajamas." And yes, that's like, anyone can make a mistake, said the Dalek, climbing off the dustbin. Anyway, I think it's about that time of night, isn't it, really, where we take a look at some guitar pictures. So I need to go into that folder, and in that folder there's this folder. Excuse me. And let's make this full screen. And let's go to this and share screen. And here we go. There's something about offset guitars, and this one belongs to Chris Snowden, that when they're left-handed, they kind of look okay. Do you know what I mean? As you know, I'm not a fan of offset guitars, but if you were to kind of reconfigure that way around into being a right-handed guitar, I think that would look really good. I'm surprised there hasn't been, and I'm sure somebody probably has done it, but I'm not aware of it, an attempt to sort of do that. Anyway, this lovely guitar is an East Coast offset, which, as you can see, belongs to our very own Mr. Chris Snowden, and that's his latest acquisition. This is Dave. I'm sure, did we have this one last week? I thought I can't remember. let me know if I've duplicated this, but this is Dave Thompson's Baritone Squire. I'm getting a big sense of deja vu about that one. It happens every now and again, I suppose. But anyway, if it was on last week, then there's another look at it. And this is Gary Shaw's very, very attractive looking Ibanez John Schofield. Beautiful looking guitar. Look at the top on that. That's something to behold, isn't it? And John Schofield once played a gig just over the road from where I used to live. I used to live in a little town in the Lake District called Ambleside. And just over the road from me, there was a venue called Zeffirelli's. And he played there. And I didn't go because I was absolutely on the bones of my arse skint and I didn't have the money to get in. That would probably be about 1986. But yes, would have been nice to go, but I didn't because I was skint. Anyway, another Gary Shaw guitar. This is his Yamaha Classical. I'm sure we saw these last week. No, okay. I apologise if any of these are duplicates, but I'm getting a massive sense of deja vu here. I'm sure I kind of did my kind of viewers guitars admin last week, but these things happen, I suppose. Maybe I'm just imagining it. Anyway, Gary Shaw that's his Yamaha Classical guitar, and he assures me that it's a really good one. This is a guitar that belongs to an erstwhile student of mine called Jeff Crouch, by the way, I beg your pardon. And this is a guitar that belongs to a hero of his called Nick, or that used to belong to a hero of his called Nick Barrett. And he did tell me who Nick Barrett was and what band he was in, and I've forgotten, so I'm just going to Google that now. Bear with me. Nick Barrett. Right, who is Nick Barrett then? Yes, he was in a band called Pendragon. It's all coming back to me now. And Jeff managed to get that guitar that used to belong to him. And yes, Jeff is a big fan of British prog rock, Marillion. So he's a big Steve Rothery fan, and Nick Barrett as well from Pendragon. And he's really rather chuffed with being the current custodian of that guitar. This one is the latest acquisition belonging to Len McIver, who sent us loads of pictures over the time we've been doing this viewers guitars kind of thing. And this is his rather tasty looking D'Angelico. Look at it. It's just, you know you're going to pick that up and immediately you're going to start kind of fumbling through a bunch of dominant 13 flat 9 chords and diminished scales, aren't you? Because it would seem wrong to play, Highway to Hell on a guitar like that, wouldn't it? But you could try. This one belongs to Tom Clark. This is one of his new guitars, I believe. This is his Squire Esquire. Yes, I've never played one of those. I've played single pickup guitars many times, and I always kind of miss the neck pickup. But isn't there some sort of clever switching on the because you've still got a pickup selector there, so it's obviously doing something. So is there some sort of clever switching there that gives you some sort of other tonal options in lieu of a neck pickup? Yeah, never played one of those. It is something I am Esquire curious. And this one also belongs to Tom Clark even. This is his Hodson Surf Cat. And when he sent me this picture, I said, how did they get that past the trademark people? Didn't a certain car maker have something to say about that logo? And then I realised it was just a vinyl sticker that Tom had put on. But it does suit it rather well, doesn't it? Yes, sort of a kind of, if you like Strats, but you want an offset body shape for whatever reason. But Anyway, let's have a look at this one. Oh, now look at this. This is a bit special, isn't it? This is Vincent Brennan's Aria Pro 2 615 Nashville. I do like a Nashville telly, and look at the top on that. Look at that. Isn't that just absolutely stunning? That's, you know what I say, there's a very fine line between opulent and ostentatious. That is just the right side of the line. It doesn't look too Liberace, does it? But it looks a bit special. It looks a bit, kind of high end. And I haven't played an Aria guitar in absolutely ages. I might have to do something about that. Anyway, chaps, as you can hear, I need to lubricate a little bit. Oh, dear me. Right. Oh, Steve Cassidy's in. Nice to see you there, mate. I didn't notice you there. And the Lamb. Thank you. Position 1 bypasses the tone controls. 2 is normal. 3 is tone fully wound down. That's what it does. Then we're talking about on the Esquire. Okay, yeah. So that would be that'd give you plenty of options, wouldn't it? I've got to read this one out. How do you get a bass player off your porch? Pay for your pizza. Hello, I'm out of focus. Don't worry, it'll come back. This might be an improvement, though. It has to be said. Let's have a look, see what else is. Oh, there I am, back in focus. Steve, when are you going to send me some pictures of your Starcasters, mate? We'll get those on the stream at some point. Let's have a wee look. Dr. Gomez, we haven't seen your offset guitar for a while, John. No, it's hanging on the wall up there. I need to get it out again and give it an airing, don't I? Peter Hall saying the Faisley Maverick Plus looks very similar to that offset. Probably came from the same factory. Probably indeed, mate. Although, I doubt there'll be any more Faisleys. Michael Purcell is saying, hey, John, you could try guitar left-handed and do a series on it. Yeah, didn't Dave Simpson do something like that a while ago, learning to play left-handed? I do occasionally, because I have one or two left-handed players come to the house here for lessons, and I do sometimes just in the lesson or at the end of the lesson just kind of pick their guitars up and see how it feels, and how it feels is weird, it has to be said. Let's have a wee look. And I've got a viewer's tale for you later on, or before the stream finishes. What are you saying, Mott the Hoop? Well, hello, happy Friday, chaps. Really enjoyed the eclectic 70s 10 best rock albums video this week. So diverse back then. That was the point I was making. It was 30 years before I realised the Boston Spaceship is actually a guitar. It took me a while as well, mate, it has to be said. Largely because... do you remember in the 80s, there was always someone who'd been on holiday or vacation, if you prefer, to somewhere sunny, and they would always come back with some albums on cassette that were, well, let's just say they weren't legitimate albums. They were, kind of probably bought from a street vendor. In Morocco or somewhere like that, and my first copy of the Boston album was of that variety, and yes, so it was you couldn't, it was basically the sleeve. The cassette sleeve was basically a black and white photocopy, so it just looked like some kind of random science fiction space scene. To me, but then when I finally bought the album on vinyl, I think I realised what it was then. Let's have a look, see what else is coming. Peter Hall is saying, backs are back. She's are open. They have very little stock at the moment. It's mainly old shop stock they are selling. They regularly have adverts on Dutch TV, so things seem to be moving. I hadn't heard that. Mate, but yes, I shall keep my eye on that. We'll there might be an order going in. We shall see. Anyway, excuse me. It's the beer is kind of going in at roughly the same pace as it's evaporating off the top of my bald head. I do apologise for any background noise tonight, by the way. I have the fan on because I couldn't not have the fan on at the moment. I don't know how much it's interfering with my dulcet tones, but it is a bit of a necessity tonight. Let's have a wee look. A woman is on trial for beating her husband to death with his guitar collection. Judge says first offender. She says no, Gibson, then offender. Hey, there we go. What are you saying there? Where's Jeff Rock gone to? Says there he is. I'm a lefty, John. I've learnt to get by on an upside down righty as well. This has come in really handy, and I've recently taken up the mandolin. Okay, yeah, mandolin. That's a possibility, isn't it? Steve Emerson is saying, has it been mentioned that PMT has gone bust? Yes, I mentioned that last week, mate. No more Dagan videos, which is, I hope he keeps on making videos, because he was an entertaining character to watch. He was like sort of a cartoon caricature of an 80s rock god, but he was just so into it and so kind of, he owned that persona, or he owns that persona, doesn't he? That you just, put him in the category of blokes you'd go for a beer with, because you just know you're going to have a good laugh. Let's have a look. Dr. Gomez is saying, I haven't noticed your fan because I've got mine on too. Bob28 is saying, how about doing a top 5 most influential electric guitarists? If memory serves me correctly, I think I've done, I think it was a video with my pal Steve Hoggart. I think we did like a joint one of those together, but it'll be back in the mists of time. What I am noticing about doing YouTube content is that I begin to sympathise now a little bit with guitar magazine publishers, because you know how if you read the same guitar magazine for long enough, you'll see the same topic being tackled like 2 or 3 times, in the pages of Guitarist or Guitar Player or whatever. And I am noticing that I'm thinking, well, I've already made a video about that. And then when I look, it was, oh yeah, but I made a video about that 4 years ago. So maybe it's time that there is a cyclic nature to these things. And I suppose remaking a video, it gives you, or re-tackling a topic, you can maybe tackle it from a different angle, and you can maybe make a better video about the same topic. That's if you're in the business of doing this. I mean, I don't know. I know there's a couple of YouTubers in the chat there. It's you're always thinking when you put a video out, I could have done that better, or I wish I'd done that a bit more like that. And so it's, yeah, maybe I'll tackle that one again. Anyway, we've just got another generous chap in the chat. Mark Gowans is saying, John, I've just ordered one of those Aria Nashville guitars. The Fender one was a bit out of my price range. This one is only £299 in ruby red. Yeah, I mean, Aria guitars, they were, my first experience of them was in 1984 when I was at college, and there was a guy there who had an Aria Pro 2. It was a twin humbucker, double cutaway, kind of Les Paul, but with a double cutaway kind of thing. And he was absolutely all over it, in love with it, and he just got rid of, I think he just got rid of a Les Paul and bought this, and sort of pocketed a huge lump of change, which was which regularly got spent in the Students' Union bar, as I seem to remember. But yeah, they were one of the sort of first brands I remember in the 80s where they were a budget brand, but they had street cred. They had that sort of that sort of kudos that Andy Summers was often seen playing an Aria Pro 2 guitar. And once somebody like that has kind of set the precedent that it's okay to play this instrument that doesn't cost even a third of what an equivalent Fender or Gibson would, then you start thinking, okay, it's okay if I play one then. Or that's sort of the game we often play, isn't it? Stevie Mack is saying, why don't you re-release the same video? It's not like your hairstyle has changed. Nobody would know. There are videos out there with me where I have some flowing locks. It has to be said. Every now and again, someone will comment on one. It'll pop up on my YouTube dashboard and say, it's like, I recognise the voice, but you look wrong with hair. Anyway, chaps, time for a viewer's tale, I think. Let me just navigate to the relevant folder where I've got the text file saved. Okie dokie, this is the one here, and this one comes from a chap called Phil. Last week you said you were getting low or had run out of viewers' tales. I had at the time. If you still need one and it's not too late, I have one I'd like to share. It was 1977 and our band were at Delane Studios in Wembley recording our second album. Excuse me. On one of the tracks we wanted a children's choir. I don't remember who it was, but someone had the idea of asking a nearby orphanage, the National Children's Home, to see if they would be interested. A few days later, all these adorable children show up, they rehearse and nail it in a few takes. They were brilliant. Anyway, while we were recording, unbeknownst to us, Paul McCartney was upstairs recording his Mull of Kintyre album. Apparently, Linda McCartney had caught wind of the children downstairs. As you know, she was a photographer, so she comes downstairs and starts taking pictures of the kids. So she introduces herself to all of us and is very, very nice. I saw her again upstairs during one of our breaks. She was with a friend of hers in the cafeteria. I did get a glimpse of Sir Paul, but didn't speak to him. That's it for now. Hope it's useful. Phil, that's a nice little tale, nice little brush with fame. I've heard that, well, not from multiple sources, it has to be said, but I've heard that from some sources that Paul McCartney is a bit of a dick, and then other people have said he's an absolute gentleman and, really salt of the earth, down to earth, hasn't let it all go to his head. I suppose there's a little bit of that in everyone, because everybody's, he's a human being, and all human beings have the odd kind of day where you get out the wrong side of the bed and you can be a bit of a dick. I suspect that's even true of me. But there you go. Oh, Steve Hoggett is among us. Not within us, among us. Nice to see you there, mate. Let's have... that's putting it politely, says Peter Nicholson. I ended up working at Delane Lee in the 90s. It was called CTS then, but it was a studio with a great history. Yeah, it's not a studio I'm familiar with, to be honest with you. And coming from that generation of people who grew up reading the back of the, the sleeve notes on the back of the vinyl album, I knew all about the record plant and Sound City and what's the one in New York? The fire station, or the power station. I beg your pardon, that fire station. Yeah, but Delane isn't one that I seem to recall. I'm sure I've listened to albums that have been recorded there. Tom Clark, controversial. I met Billy Shears. Yes, yes. If you don't know why that's controversial, just Google Billy Shears. And, it's one of the big rock conspiracy theories, and I'm just not going to get into that. It's, it's, it's sort of Lord Lucan kidnapped Shergar and, and assassinated JFK. It's one of those kind of things. So anyway, I'm not going to get into that, but make up your own mind. Yes, there is a famous conspiracy theory centered around Paul McCartney, and the name Billy Shears is a prominent name in that conspiracy theory. Make your own mind up. Graham Campbell saying, my mum met him years ago and said he was lovely. Paul McCartney, I guess you're talking about there. Let's have a wee look. What else is there that I've missed? MW Card, has anyone tried the Iron Gear Blues Engine humbuckers? I have, mate, and I can very, very strongly recommend them. I had a Harley Benton SC550 Plus or SC552, one of the two. Basically, a lovely guitar, but the Roswell pickups, were they Roswells or something else? I can't remember. But the pickups that came as stock, I was just a little bit underwhelmed by, so I put some Iron Gear Blues engines in, and they were a big, big improvement. So, yes, very, very highly recommended. As are the Iron Gear Tesla Sharks, a great PAF sounding pickup there. And yes, there's a guitar arriving in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, that will be featuring those. Lathe of Heaven is saying, CTS, for purpose-built studio. This is the old Delane Studios. For purpose-built studios and a mastering department. It was knocked down to build a new Wembley Stadium in the end. Tragedy. MW Card, thank you. That is very, very generous of you, sir. You don't need to... Well, I mean, I'm not going to say don't chuck some money in the tip jar, but, thank you so much. As our dear departed friend, China guitar skeptic Mike used to say, or was it Lance? It was Lance, wasn't it? That was his actual name. Never solicited, always appreciated. Thank you so much, mate. Gary Shaw is saying, I had dinner with... Is that Van Morrison, mate? I'm going to assume that was Van Morrison. I keep scrolling past this this interview on YouTube with, because I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, with Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull. I think it's on Classic Album Reviews channel, where he's saying that Van Morrison was a bit of a dick when he met him. Anton is saying, what's your opinion on using an EQ pedal before changing pickups? I tend to find an EQ pedal can be a little bit of a blunt instrument. If you're looking for a subtle change in tone on your pickups, then more expert people than me can probably get it. But there's my EQ pedal, and there's the setting I have it in, and basically that gives you that sort of Santana, Michael Schenker, half-cocked wah sound. And whenever I want that sound, I just hook that pedal up. Jimmy James, sir, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you so much, mate. That is absolutely spiffing of you. Thank you so much. Gary Shaw, that what you're saying there, mate. Had dinner with Van Morrison once. Nice man who was pretty shy, hated the music press. Yes, I think a lot of the time, if someone is a little bit shy and retiring and just wants to make music, and isn't really into the whole kind of celebrity fame, kind of side of the business, then that can come across as being, a bit of a dick. Especially if you, as I say, everyone has a bad day. Go and check on that topic. Go and check out a song by Kevin Bloody Wilson, a great balladeer and artiste. Go and check out a song of his called "I've Had an Absolute See You Next Tuesday." You know what I'm saying there? Of a day. It's really funny, and anyway, we all have bad days. And if you're having a bad day, go and listen to that song, and you'll realise that it's not as bad a day as you thought you were having. Yeah, Jimmy James is saying, Dr. Gomez, tell me the story and I'll read it out. Andy Edwards hates Van Morrison, has mentioned it several times, says Ian Mason. Yes, Dr. Gomez, just Kim Carnes, Betty Davis Eyes. Now, there's a great one-hit wonder. If you're going to have a one-hit wonder, that's one to have, isn't it? That was a song that I always lobbied to do in covers bands, and it never ever, because that would just kind of in a rock covers band. That's one of the things I used to like to do, was to kind of take a song that wasn't like a proper full-on kind of ballsy rocker and turn it into one. And it was the sort of thing that an audience could really, kind of, oh, that's good, and I always lobbied to do that, and never ever got the chance. I always got voted down. But I've done a few videos where, I've recreated that, recreated songs that I never got past the committee when I was doing my band in my band days. So that might be something to think of a video about. Yes, leave that one with me. Ian Mason saying vocal would be hard, I think. Yeah. Yeah. There's ways around that. I know singers, and I can send backing tracks to singers, and they can record vocals, and I can line it all up in a DAW. That might be something worth doing. On classical influences, did John Miles ever do anything else? No, that was pretty much his one hit. Great song, though. Great song, Music by John Miles. I do know he spent the rest of his career, I don't know, is he still around? He spent the rest of his career as a session player, and I know he was in Tina Turner's band for many a year. Anyway, chaps, we are 59 minutes in, and I've got to go and order some food because we're having a takeaway tonight. It's too hot to have the cooker on in this weather. Did I mention I don't like the heat? So I'm going to go and... did somebody say just eat? I'm going to just go and tap the app and order some food to turn up. Probably pizzas tonight because we're having a curry on Sunday. So what I'm saying is that's your lot for now. Thank you once again for turning up and watching a fat, bald northern bloke talk absolute bollocks for an hour. It's been a blast, and I'll keep on doing it till you're sick of me. But for now, time, gentlemen, please.